Are you ready to step up? The pursuit starts here. Welcome to The Pursuit of Excellence, the show where we dive deep into conversations around what separates the good from the great, what drives success, money mindset, lessons learned, best practices, and ultimately what drives purpose and passion on your pursuit. So today's guest, very excited to have Jason Jimenez with me, the founder of Landing Big Wells, amongst a whole bunch of other accolades. He is a faith-filled leader and one of the country's most trusted voices in risk mitigation and business strategy. After building one of the top-ranked insurance and risk advisory firms in the nation, Jason has expanded his reach as a speaker, investor, and philanthropic leader, helping others build with boldness and integrity. Whether he's mentoring young entrepreneurs, advising executives, or serving his community, Jason leads with conviction and clarity, always anchored in faith, family, and impact. Please welcome Jason Jimenez.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm honored myself.
Well, you know, with the pursuit of excellence, my first and foremost question is always, what is your definition of excellence? What are you pursuing at this moment? What has gotten you here today?
Well, it's interesting because as we were getting ready for this, the question boiled down to the conversation started coming around the word of integrity. It's understanding that there's a depth, at least what was taught to me, there was a depth of integrity that is not just surface level. It is actually at its root. Yeah. And within that root, for me, it's understanding that without integrity, nothing works. And I mean nothing. Right? And so the perspective of excellence and perfection is always understanding that you are honoring the word that you speak and that the word that you speak is the world you live into, while understanding that it can always be restated or make a recommitment, because just because I promise you something, just because I declared something, doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. Yeah. It's the willingness to understand that if I know that I'm going to be late to something, or if I'm not going to fulfill on something, the moment you realize that you can't, it doesn't mean you can't re-engage and recommit, reschedule, whatever, to give that other person who's on the other side the ability to say, no, I'm not going to make you accountable. Or, you know what, I understand. And let's reassess the commitment that you just made to me. That's what, to me, pursuit of excellence would be.
I love that. Yeah. In our conversation that we were having before the show, the pursuit of excellence for me, I've had coaches over the years, tell me that I was always going to be disappointed if I held people to my levels of expectation.
That's right.
And I did, and I was disappointed because the people that were important in my world were not stepping up. They were not following through. They were not doing what they said that they were going to do. And so I was very disappointed. Yeah. And so I really had to reframe that because I didn't want to be disappointed. Yeah. Right? I literally had to reframe it to say, maybe I'm just in the wrong room. Yeah. Maybe I'm surrounded with the wrong people because I feel like I want to, swallow the ocean. I want to go after it all. I want to make an impact. I want to lead people to pursue their passion. Excellence is achievable, but it's your definition. So with that, you've achieved some incredible feats. I know you don't like to always toot your own horn, so to speak, or the humble brag, but to give my audience perspective of who you are and what you represent. You've had Houston Business Journal's 40 Under 40. You've been Businessman of the Year. You've also had some very important, impactful, industry-specific accolades. I would love for you to give the audience some perspective, even though I know it makes you uncomfortable.
Yes. So I'll start with this, is that I started in an environment where that pursuit to always wanting more. And so within that, it allowed me to achieve the 40 Under 40. It allowed me to achieve the ability to Businessman of the Year from the National Republican Committee. It allowed me to allow within my insurance and risk mitigation background where I first started my career, to be in the top 3% in the nation within certain carriers. And through that, it had opened me up into opportunities to be of service and finding opportunities from just things that just made sense. And through that, it has allowed me to create a platform and an environment, a community in which I have been able to help and impact millions and millions of people in certain different ways. Probably my biggest thing that I don't really talk very much about is that within the last 2 decades, we've funded a little over $80 million that have impacted over $2 billion worth of actual business.
Wow.
It's not something that I look for. It's right time, right moment, right scenario. It's because of if somebody says, I need help either in X, Y, or Z, and if I know I'm a solution for it, then I monetize it. But while monetize it, I'm actually making sure that I'm moving somebody forward. And so within that, it's allowed me to fund or to syndicate or to create opportunities for others so that they can get what they need. And which watching someone say, I have this thing that I believe so deeply in, and I'm tired of asking, and it was a referral given to me. And then I'm able to see something that they didn't do or didn't see, or I've created opportunities because they didn't have the network, and I was able to fulfill and connect that dot and monetize while getting them what they want. Yeah. Watching their face change is the most rewarding thing you can ever find.
I mean, obviously being a servant leader and with the philanthropic mindset, but also the give back mindset that you so boldly lead with landing big whales. I think every time I attend one of your meetings, that's the most powerful takeaway, is that you're literally moving people forward. The whole segment around like, what are your wins, but also round robin of masterminding, what are we solving for today? And then we solve it right there, and opening your book to make sure that we're providing value.
Yeah.
But more so you giving people a platform to be able to be the solution as well. What is landing big whales, while we talk about it, so that people, like, what motivated you to create this, the Spiderweb Effect? Like, how are you serving people with this platform?
Yeah. So as an organization, we are a B2B business development organization that is committed to adapting and sharing a philosophy and a methodology that I created for the last 19 years called the Spiderweb Effect, which is really a systematic process that's scientific based while driven from the human mind on how people view and see things from a perspective of the root level. And to us, and to what we teach within the community, is that nothing happens without openness and vulnerability and transparency. The only reason why we exist is to be able to help people do it for themselves, because there's a saying that we share within the community. It's not until you see it for yourself will you be willing to change. I can say whatever I want, but if you can't see it for you, then it means nothing to you, period. So our job is to be able to put together a methodology and process in which, if followed in sequence, would create the ability to create a business development arm for a business that you already have and you know you need, but you do it within an environment of putting the right people in your life who are committed to what you're committed to, while being able to train them, educate them, make them accountable, because they're doing it to you. It's no longer a COI. It's no longer a referral partner. You're actually doing business with people who at the end of the day matter. And so as an organization, we create chapters throughout the country to be able to make sure that people put the right people in place that have the right commitment, that have a level of integrity, of understanding that it's no longer, they don't have to do it by themselves. Yeah. The question is, do they vet? Do they like? Do they trust? Yeah. And we have a methodology and process that we teach them.
I love that. You know, it's funny because no one likes to be told what the problem is. They need to be led to it that they can solve it for themselves.
That's right.
So my family has a proprietary negotiations model based off of the Rogerian theory of decision tree analysis. Basically, a lot of words that are why people make decisions. What I love about the process that you take people through is like, yeah, you're going to toot your own horn. You're going to acknowledge your wins. but it's also the round robin of, are you listening for the right things? You know, the ethos of excellence, right, is like doing what you say you're going to do. And part of that is to be a good recipient, right?
Well, and I think the other thing is us understanding that through good questioning and just shutting up and listening, people will tell you everything that you need to know.
Oh, yeah.
And through that, it's our first phase of interview. Do they sell to the same client we do or I do? Mm-hmm. Are they truly influential? And influence means what? And it can mean a lot of things, but to me, it means you're trusted, you're reliable, you're acknowledged, you're respected. And when you speak, people will listen. Yeah. They won't question, hey, you need to speak to Tinja. They're like, okay, sure, I'm going to speak to Tinja because Jason said so. Or Tinja does the same thing for me. That is influence. And so being able to identify and look for that is very critical. And the last, well, it's really not the last one, but the third one is going to be, are they really good at what they do? Meaning, are they subject matter experts in their individual fields? And there is a necessity of understanding that someone that is ranked in the top 40% in their industry is so vastly different from somebody that's in the top 1%. The people in the top 1, 5, 10%, they have figured out something that the others have yet to do, which inherently gives you better quality referrals, better quality introductions, better processes, better emphasis on dealing with clients that you actually need and want with less work. So the word around all of that is intentionality.
You know, mentorship and faith-based mentorship has always been something that you know, you lead very proudly with.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? What drives you? What's motivated you to build this and continue to create this platform for others to mentor?
So it was about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. I was in a room with a company called Liberty Mutual. They invited me out to Dallas, and they asked the question, is like, what is your purpose? And we had a consultant there that said, let's just kind of go through this exercise. And so we took me through this exercise, and on the spot, I defined my purpose, which was and is for everything that I do. It's to be of service to faith, family, and business with integrity, because without it, nothing works. And it's stuck, and I have lived into that and everything. And if someone doesn't want to do business with me, or if I go into business with someone, they have to embrace that. And if they don't, that's a non-negotiable for me. And so
we all like a good deal breaker.
Yeah, totally. We have to.
We have to.
Yeah.
This is where
because we don't align.
Yeah. Well, so this is where my book comes into play. So we talked a little bit earlier about you know, having this desire to write a book. Yeah. And mine is called Boundaries and Bullshit. So if it'll happen.
Yeah.
But not to segue just a little bit, but you know, we were talking about, you know, the integrity side of this before we started recording, and for me, that is literally the definition of enforcing your boundaries and managing the bullshit.
That's right.
Like, if we're not aligned, it's never like, we can't do business.
Yeah.
If the culture doesn't align, the ethics, the morals, the overall vision, mission, core values, if we're not aligned,
that's right,
I cannot be of service.
That's right. And people don't necessarily ask the right questions to determine that. It's kind of like the shotgun approach of relationships, personally and professionally.
Yes.
And if people would understand, if they just slowed down just a little bit and then really ask questions to identify if this person is really in line and willing to help me achieve what I'm committed to, well, then guess what? You got me 100%. I'm all in for you.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I went shooting. I was very fortunate to go to this Navy SEAL museum guided training event. Yeah. And one of the BUDS instructors was there teaching us how to shoot handguns and rifles. And the one thing he kept saying, besides front sight, that is drilled into my brain at this point. I know we're in Texas at the moment, so, you know, shooting is real.
Yes, it is.
However, it's the slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter how slow you're going. We want to be smooth. We want to be fast. Like, I was literally thinking on the way here, it's like we're on this EKG machine of this roller coaster. Like if we flatlined, we would be dead. However, we need to manage the volatility, the level of peaks and valleys. And so we need to figure out how to be smooth through the bullshit. It's just how do we manage the emotions?
Through experience.
Mm-hmm. So I'm actually curious because you do, like your demeanor, your nature, you are very smooth. Like there's nothing that I've never seen you uber fired up. I've never seen you angry. I've never seen, like, you're just smooth. So, one of the things in my life that I always come back to is let action drive, not emotion.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between passion and pursuit versus volatility. Yeah. So I'm curious what it is that, like, fires you up. Like, what gets you going?
Watching someone change before you, and knowing that you were a contribution to that change.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so when I was consulting, one of my favorite things, was when I was supporting somebody that was struggling through the workshop. My dad would always give me the projects. But we'd always win either the most creative or the gorilla handler. Yeah. So we'd always call the executives our 800-pound gorillas. And so if these people built their business case and I got those awards by supporting them, they got those awards and I was able to empower them to go and get after it. Like that's what I relished in. Yeah. Yeah.
And watching the transformation, I'm going to use that word intentionally. Yeah. Watching the transformation, again, for them being able to see it for themselves. And when you see, you could just see their body reaction in being able to physically change when they now see, oh. And it's like the light bulb went out.
Yeah, agreed.
That is so rewarding.
Agreed. I also experience it too. So like now that I'm doing finance, when people have clarity, they find peace. It's like, oh yes, like this is what I was meant to do, is give you that peace of mind.
That's, you see, I think, and that's extremely valuable with what you just said, because I think when people are in the realm of risk mitigation, finance, of anything has to deal with whatever product or service that they offer, if they change the context of what they do and how they do it and understand that they're coming and being able to change someone else's life by providing peace or providing some form of guidance that ultimately can change their trajectory of how their family or their kids or their kids create, it changes the way why they do it. Yeah. Rather than just being a transaction.
Yes. I don't even know what that word means at this point.
Yeah.
Like transactional anything, I want nothing to do with. Yeah. Like if we're not driving value, if we're not building, if we're not co-creating, like it's not for me and I'm not for you. Yeah. A lot of what, I've understood about how you got here and the ecosystem of businesses that you've created, it's I want to know if there was ever a moment where you like had a come to Jesus moment that felt more like a roadblock, that was more of a catalyst for you to go after the things, like to build that business, to build that ecosystem, to build landing big whales. Did you ever experience the adversity side of things?
Every day. Okay. Every day. I could tell you that if I allow the things that don't work to stop me, then I have lost, for me, a remembrance of what I'm committed to. And what I was taught through my mentors was understanding that what I'm committed to really boils down to one word that's connected to one feeling. Because there's nothing in this world that we do, no matter if the outfit that I'm wearing or the things that I have in my home or everything that I choose the things in my life because of the way they make me feel. I don't choose it because I like the color. I choose the color because the color is connected to an essence of who you are subconsciously. People don't go that deep, and it's okay.
Who are you subconsciously?
Is that a question?
Yes, I'm curious. How would you define it?
Subconsciously, I am a person that that is 12 feet tall and has large wings, and I'm carrying whoever I can carry when they need me.
I feel like I'm very colorful. Whatever, whatever the subconscious version is.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you ever do vision work, like where you?
All the time.
Okay.
I live in the future.
Okay. Talk to me about that, please.
So I truly believe that if we describe things with intentionality and envisioning that I am somewhere, I am experiencing this, I am feeling this, there's nothing there that's missing other than reverse engineering what are the things that have to happen in order for me to achieve it based on where I'm currently at. So if I'm going to achieve something, then I have to be able to describe it with great detail. The more detail that you have, the easier it gets to understand what questions to ask to how to get there. It's when you have that disconnect of what that future looks like and envisioning something, it's when you aren't clear on that is when people ask, I just can't see it. Well, great. So my first question when I'm consulting with someone is this: how does it feel when you're there? And then when they describe what that is and we get to the point and I push hard, and then I say, okay, well, great. So what has to be present in order for that to be possible? Yeah. Which is then then you start getting to the tangible, meaning who are the people in your life? What are the things in your life? What is the technology in your life that's going to allow you to streamline, automate, and create the ability to feel that? And the other one that I always talk about is this, is the experience. Like people disregard, I think, the experience of things. This podcast, as an example, is an experience. It makes people feel a certain way, whether it be us as the recipients that are sitting across from you, or it's the person listening. It's an experience of a reflection of putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. That experience, as long as it reminds you of what is important to you and what you're committed to, well, then you're on the right track. Yeah. It's when you realize it's not for you. Yeah. Well, then just pivot.
Yeah. So I always like to like my brain is very clinical in terms of like execution, right? So when I'm thinking vision work, right? Because everybody's like, the hot topic is manifestation and, the
woo-woo stuff.
The woo-woo. The woo-woo with a little bit of do, okay? But the reality is like when I'm looking at building out like my strategic plan for the year, I build it out like you're talking about reverse engineering, but I actually build out the execution strategy, right? So it's project management 101. Like, what are we executing when, and what are the go, no-go milestones? Yeah. So building out, the personal goals, the strategic business goals, but also what funds are we allocating? So it's like, yes, I have the vision of what I want to feel and do and look like and, execute. My dad calls it playing the movie, right? He used to literally put me in the corner and make me play the movie before every big swim meet, before every soccer game, before any presentation, like doing my first public speech contest at 9. Like, I had to play the movie. And I think that's what we do every single day. And if you're not doing it, you should be doing it because it will streamline your emotional response.
It's interesting because as I was listening to you, the word that comes up to me is faith. Because faith takes two things that people sometimes forget. It's the belief in something, but you can't believe unless you feel it that is possible. And then the other part of it is action. You have to actually physically move. God doesn't necessarily just give you the answers. He gives you direction. It's your job to take the action.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about right when we walked in today is, God presents you with situations over and over and over and over until you until you adjust.
Yes. Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, totally.
Like, move. Okay, got it. Sold. Doing this now. Yeah. Have you had moments like that? Does anything like strongly stick out to you?
Oh, yeah. And even moments when I don't even want it, still even when I realize I need to and I don't.
So I'm asking it in the context if somebody's like experiencing like a plateau or a roadblock and, it's.
So my answer to that is this. I've accepted that I'm a combination lock. It's no different than you're going back to high school and you go into your locker and you go turn it, you put the combination, it doesn't work. What are you going to do? You either walk away or you change, or you try to remember and you try another combination until it works.
You know, it's really interesting. So like one of my most pivotal times in my life, when my parents retired, it was a down cycle, 2017, 2016 in oil and gas. Our primary client got bought out by a very large organization. And so we got taken off the AVL. So I had to have rock bottom, also got divorced. So it's like, but the combination, I still was exactly who I am. I had all the competence in the world. I had to figure out how to reframe it.
Yeah.
So going into finance was my come to Jesus, like pivot of what do I do with all of this competency to drive value in a different context.
I have opened and invested in companies that have failed. And I was taught that if something at any point in time gives you the ability of a beacon of light, whether it be small or inspiration, whether it be small or large, dive into it. All heads in, like head to toe, dive in. Because the one thing that is true is this: I was a certain way and a certain person at that point in time. My experience going through the process, I am no longer the same person. Doesn't matter if it's a month or if it's 2 years into it. I'll give you a perfect example. I invested in a company that did it was called Team Brothers and Industrial. And so it was a company that did power washing for industrial manufacturing companies, so or oil and gas and whatnot. So we would power wash these huge refineries. And my partner was introduced to me, and because he was an existing client that had this opportunity to do it for himself, I believed in him. He was about to invest into partner up with somebody who's going to take advantage of him. I had no intentions of actually going into business with. What I found was he was being taken advantage, which I hate bullies. And so I told him what he should be doing. And then he said, look, Jason, would you be willing to consider to come in with me? I said, sure, I'll just manage the back end because I can't do the hard labor. That's not me. And so we did. And we completely grew that company within a short of like 9 months, over $1.5 million as far as what we brought in. Just simple putting process and procedures in place. Life changed when COVID hit. He got affected and he passed away. That business died.
Yeah.
And what it taught me was never, ever just say no. Ask the questions. Figure it out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the people that I met, or the things that I learned, still apply to everything that I still do today or that I get myself involved in. And I would have never had that experience if I would have just turned it away and not asked the right questions.
What a powerful experience. My immediate, it's not comedic, but my gut reaction was there key man insurance? Did we mitigate the risk?
Sadly, no.
No.
There wasn't. This happened within a span of a year and a half. So from the moment I stepped in to the moment we were building the company, all of that wasn't even a question at that time because it was massive growth. Granted, he didn't have the characteristics to be able to get approved.
Yeah.
Right. So we had to go through that.
Yep.
But nevertheless, it was an experience.
Yeah.
And I had to start over.
So how many businesses do you own now? Or how many have you built over your lifetime?
Yeah. So I currently am somewhere between 9 and 10 individual companies that I have interest in. Okay. I operate and manage really 2 with a heavy interest in a 3rd where I consult and advise. Everything else is either I'm a passive investor, whether it be in real estate or just in companies that at the end of the day that I have believed in. They asked me to participate in certain levels, and then so I've invested or I've done my part, and now I'm just kind of letting them go and receiving royalties from it, so to speak.
Amazing.
But as far as how many companies, I will tell you that my family would probably tell me maybe 3 dozen or more that I've either thought of because I found that maybe, and then you figure out, oh no, that was a bad idea.
The serial entrepreneur side of your brain.
Yeah, because to me, what it was is, what the hell?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. My mom taught me the one thing was, It was a 4-step process. And it was how I started my first company, which was my insurance firm in November of 1999. And I was turning 21, and she asked me the question, why don't you do this for yourself? And I said, I don't know if I could do this. She literally said, what the hell do you have to lose? And I'm like, and so I took it as just simple as that question may be. But she said, no. Let's get into my office and let's talk. We talked for an hour and a half, and she kept asking me the question, like probably 15 times, what the hell do you have to lose? And so she pushed me for that. But that wasn't how it ended. She said, okay, think about it. Next morning I come in. She says, all right, come to my office. And so if you do it, what are all the possibilities?
I'm like, what's the SWOT analysis?
Totally. Hour and a half.
Pro con that.
So she said, and before I started answering the question, she said, look, I need you to shoot for the sun so that you can hit the moon. I don't want you to go shoot for the moon to hit the clouds. And in essence, stretch yourself. And that's what I'm about to do for you. And so she got me into this realm of like thinking of what all the true possibilities were. And she pushed the shit out of me. Yeah. And she got me to a point of doing that. And where I walked away with this massive high of like all these things that if I did do it, day 3 comes around. She says, okay, how do you feel today? I feel great. I feel awesome. And she says, so which ones are you going to willing to let go of? What she was making me realize is that all the possibilities were almost infinite. And yet, what was truly possible today, I had to be real. I have to be realistic of what is really possible today versus what's possible in the future. Because my version of myself at that moment only can get me up to a point that I can open up a business up until make maybe 6 figures as an example. But when you're at 6 figures, then the question is how do you get to 7? You were a different person at that point in time. When you get to triple digits as far as 9 digits and whatnot, you are a different version of yourself, which is where I've coined from my mother the point of you're not the same person you were a year ago. Something's always changing. So as long as you're willing to make note of that and even speak to your future self, it's a lot easier to get that and achieve it. Yeah,
it's super powerful. Borrowed belief is an incredible empowerment tactic.
Yeah.
Where somebody imbues enthusiasm and confidence, like, yeah, I can do it. But when you do it and you do it scared, like there's literally nothing holding you back. Like in the United States, we have freedom. We are capable. You can literally do anything. You just have to decide.
The other part of that, I think, is understanding that the people that are closest to you already see you as someone in the future, and it's you trying to catch up to that.
I think there's a dichotomy, though. I think because, like, if you think of it, like, both in the insurance arena, right, the hardest customers are always going to be friends and family, right? They're like, why are you trying to sell me anything? Yes. But ultimately, it's like they know who you are.
Yeah.
You have morphed, like you've had so many life experiences that they sometimes can't conceptualize who it is that you're even morphing into.
That's right.
Or they see all the potential. So it's the dichotomy of who's in your circle, right? What's the rule? Like you're a sum of the 6 people that you're around the most.
That's right.
So who do you surround yourself with?
So one of my mentors, and I have plenty of them, but one of my mentors is a gentleman by the name of Chris Mansky. He owns a company called Mansky Wealth Management. And I look up to him so much because of who he is and what he is committed to. And I asked him one day, I said, I need to sit down and I need to ask you these questions because of everything that you've accomplished. And he shared with me, well, one of the things that he does is he has this thing that he uses called the Dunbar theory. And so it's this theory basically says that we as humans can hold up to about 150 people in our lives. So he basically said, look, I basically have these top 20%. These are people that I actually am interactive with, I do business with, I respect, they respect me. And then he has this other 25% that is this category, and then this other category up to 150. And so I was like, where am I in that, right? But then when he taught me what he did, I sat back and I said, okay, I want to drill it down even more. So what I did was I said, look, take your mom, your dad, spouse, children, immediate family outside of that, because they should be there for you, ride or die, no matter what, right? And granted, some people don't have that, and that's noted. But let's assume that that's all there. Then who's left over?
Yeah.
And so I started asking the question of like, who's the number one person in your life, excluding them? And then when you really get down to it, who's your number two? And always asking the question, why? Because it's, to me, one of the most powerful and underutilized word that people, if they understood that there is layers to everything anyone ever has to say, and you get to the root reason, you'll understand the importance. Because I will tell you, anyone can say, I have the top 10 people in my life. The question is, when you get to the top 25, top 30, 40, 50, you'll start asking questions like, well, I don't even know if I have that many people in my life. It's like, no, you do. We just don't look at it from that perspective. Because your cell phone, quite frankly, has a couple hundreds of people in there. You have them. People, when I take people through the process, they look at it as like, where can I look? And I say, well, who do you text for the last month or so? Who have you been texting? Oh, I forgot about X, Y, and Z. Yeah, they're in your life. Where are they in the category? Yeah. But ultimately understanding this, because we're not the same people we are the day before or even a year later. That person who's on 150, tomorrow could be number 4 because of what they're up to, because they're more in line to what you need and what you want in your life. And as long as you're willing to know that that can always change, it will change the way you act, you interact, and you actually perform.
You're talking about mentorship as well. Like I've always sought mentorship. Like I've always been a good coach. Like I always knew that I had the capacity to draw things out of people to reach a level of performance, peak performance that, was within their range and stretchy, right? Stretch them because things are going to be uncomfortable. And so for me, like I always wanted somebody to stretch. Like, give me something to go after that I think is delusional, that you think I can do. Like, I don't care how ridiculous it is, but like, let's go. I do it scared. I do it, I do it enthusiastically terrified. I'm curious for you, if you have any mentors in your life giving you stretch goals.
I do, when they see me getting complacent. My biggest lesson is when I used to live a life to where I hit a goal and the first question I'd ask is, what's next? Because I always know that there's another level that I have yet to see or experience. The problem that I had was that I started unappreciating, or I wasn't appreciating the journey. I wasn't appreciating the level and what it took to get there and acknowledging it. And that's what slowed me down. So now I'm 48, I think now.
Getting old, gray hair.
I am. Hopefully a fine wine, but
yes,
we'll see.
There we go.
But I find myself in a situation where which is why intention is so important to me, because I can achieve everything I want to achieve in a shorter period of time if I just take all the fluff and things that are non-necessary. So I started researching that, and I realized that most of the millionaires or billionaires actually in the world today didn't make it when they were younger. They did it when they're in their 40s or 50s. That's when they actually did most of the things that they accomplished. And I started asking what the reason was. Like, why was that? It's like, well, the real is because they finally saw that it was possible and they stopped wasting time. So then the question was, well, what do I really want? And then from there is like, what do I need to do that? And who do I need in my life to achieve it? And then being able to understand that I'm not saying you're a bad person in my life, I'm just going to X you out. The question is if you focus on what you're committed to, they're going to fade away regardless, because their commitment isn't equal to yours. So it's okay.
What does winning look like for you right now?
Well, right now, so I'm so committed to making an impact to well over 1 million people within from a perspective of transformational change.
Okay, what does that mean?
So for me, it's defined as that the actions you take because of of the community or in the environment that I'm part of and I'm building is I want your children's to be the impact of the actions that you take today. And so what that means is being able to know that I am not the answer for everything. And yet, by creating the right people in my life that could, at one point in time, because of their skill set, experience, their wisdom, by them contributing by either providing guidance, providing experience, providing accountability, providing something, could make that change. Because it's what you advise me, and if I truly apply it, and guess what, if it works, you're not going to be the same, nor is your business. And that business indirectly impacts the people in your life, including your spouse and your children.
For me, I always talk about it, and I'm sure it's like a broken record at this point, but it's my legacy. Like, I'm living my legacy. I literally feel like I'm annoying because I talk about my legacy so much because my family impacted so many careers on such a profound level, and I was very fortunate to be a part of that. And so now that I am living this legacy in so many different aspects, like the ethos of this podcast is literally trying to define what winning is for you. And the legacy side of what you're talking about is so profound. So it's truly like understanding what winning is so personal, but it's just problem definition. Like, define it. Define what it is that you think is success. Define what it is and go have the integrity to follow through on what that execution strategy is, and who do you want on board.
To me, everything's, I'm process driven is ridiculous. For me, it boils down to what am I committed to, which is that one word with one feeling. My word is joy. One word,
one feeling.
Yeah. My word is joy.
I love joy.
So here's the thing. When I went through the process through my mentor, and this was years ago, my word when I shared it with him was happiness. And he said, Jason, when was the last time that you actually your body just exude happiness? And I told him I was at the Game 7 when the Houston Rockets won their first championship. And he asked me, he's like, why were you so happy? Why was it so exciting? It's like, well, first of all, my dad was there with me. So that was one. My dad, I grew up poor, not knowing that I was poor. I grew up in an environment where my mom and dad didn't have babysitters. So I rode around with them to meetings. And so when I saw them speak to people, like as a little kid, you're doing nothing but mimicking. So I didn't know how, so my family's like, you're always talking so professionally. I was like, I don't know how to talk in way.
Same.
Right?
Same.
So it's like, why are you talking to me like an employee?
Well, people are like, you like really big words. I was like, I have to use a dictionary to talk to my parents.
Yes. And so I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, I told him, I said, my happiness was because I finally got to have a moment with my dad that had nothing to do with work. And then he said, okay, great. I want you to stand up and I want you to be present as you were sitting there because you had an environment of, I don't know how many thousands of people in the stadium and this energy was around you. He said, I want you to stand up and I want you to walk down the aisle. I want you to walk upstairs and then walk you through the elevator. Do you still feel the same way? And I thought, and I said, no, I don't. So happiness only lasts 16 seconds.
Interesting.
And so then he continued.
Because it's a chemical reaction. Interesting.
So, okay. Yeah. So then he kept asking the question, why, which is why I believe in the word why, rooting it down.
I don't feel the same way about why, but keep going.
Totally. And so what he basically got me down to was understanding that the reason why that moment was joy for me is because it still to this day provides me joy of that moment. And joy can last for a long period of time. Yeah. So my definition comes from the perspective of it is something that I give joy and something that I'm open in receiving joy. And that's why I live my life to that. But then there's the three questions I ask afterwards. Who are the people in your life that will help you experience joy every day or create it? What are the tools and resources that will allow you to streamline to get to joy? Because without it, nothing works for us or for me. And then the last one is what experiences, which we've talked about just recently. It's the experiences that remind you of the feeling that, hey, you're on the right track.
I love that.
And that's my process.
I love it. So in wrapping up, where do people find you? How do they connect with you?
So I'm definitely on social media,
Okay.
active there. So they can find me either under Jason Jimenez or on Instagram, Jason Jimenez INS. Within LinkedIn, they can find me just under Jason Jimenez. But if they look up Landing Big Wells or they look up the M&A Forum, those are active organizations that I help lead. And through that is where I'm spending the majority of my time.
Is there anything that you want to leave my audience with that you're working on right now?
You don't have to do it by yourself at any point in time. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's hurting and everybody's experiencing things, and it's okay to basically be open. And everything starts with vulnerability if you're willing to understand that is a form of power and strength, and then with that, the rest of it will fall in place.
I always love a good human to human, which is what he calls his Landing Big Whales one-on-ones, which you should always incorporate. Yeah. This was amazing.
Yeah.
So much better than virtual.
Yes.
Perfect.
For sure.
Thank you so much for being with us today. If today's conversation resonated with you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it, reflect on it, and use it to push you on your own journey of success. This is The Pursuit of Excellence. Until next time.